I realize I described the stalemate, but we didn't actually talk about what a stalemate is. So my assumption is that you have an understanding that a stalemate means that neither side is winning, right? They're both kind of stuck there in the middle. And so by 1862, Lincoln is so done with this. This was supposed to be 90 days or less. It's been a year. What is going on here? So Lincoln decides he is going to take matters into his own hands, as he has the right to do. He is the commander in chief. He orders General George McClellan in the the Army of the Potomac to invade the Confederacy with the intent of capturing Richmond. Quick war, we're gonna be done, you guys. We did it, yay! We captured Richmond. Except McClellan's not that great at his job. Unfortunately for Lincoln, fortunately for the Confederacy, McClellan just isn't that great at his job. It's easy for me to say that. I'm not there, I'm not him, but you know, maybe I wouldn't be that great at it either. I don't know. Sorry about the wrinkle. So McClellan moves his 100,000 forces towards Richmond. At the same time, the General Stonewall Jackson, who's heading up the Confederacy, moves north to Washington, D.C. So you can imagine that we're going to meet somewhere, right? About a third to a quarter of McClellan's troops return back to defend the capital because again, word the Jackson's coming up. We can't leave the capital unguarded. So they turn to go back to Washington, D.C. Jackson decides this is actually a great idea. This is going to weaken the force that's heading towards Richmond. And so he and General Lee change direction. Forget Washington, D.C. We're going to go after the group that's still heading to Richmond. And him and General Lee, our friend from John Brown's raid, are going to attack the remaining soldiers who are still on the move. So this battle from June 25th to July 1st, 1862, it lasts 7 days. I don't know if this battle has an official name, Battle of Richmond. I'll be honest, I'm not fully up on every single name of every single battle. It's a 7-day battle. Both sides are obviously engaged in fighting. Almost 20,000 Confederate soldiers are wounded or killed, and about 10,000 Union soldiers are also wounded or killed. And McClellan's army ends up retreating without capturing Richmond. So this is a huge win for Stonewall Jackson and General Lee, and a huge loss for McClellan. And General Lee continues pushing north back to Virginia, and we meet again at the second Battle of Bull Run, roughly a year after the first one, right? And once again, the Confederacy defeats the Union at the second Battle of Bull Run, and the Confederacy keeps pushing on, and now they're pressing on to Maryland. And they meet at a battle in Sharpsburg at Antietam Creek. And this is a 1-day battle, which is the biggest loss of life up until this point. It is estimated that about 8,000 soldiers are killed or wounded in this one day. And at the end of that, Lincoln does what any good manager does, and he replaces McClellan. He says, it's not it, man. You can't do it. It is clear that we need a new general in order to achieve victory. And so he hires Ambrose Burnsides to replace him. He doesn't do much better, okay? Burnside fails to push the Confederacy back, fails to fight off the Confederates as well, and by January of 1863, Burnside has been replaced again by General Joseph Hooker. Meanwhile, we have this young guy, younger, I mean, you know, everybody's young when you die early, younger General Ulysses S. Grant. He is currently out in charge of the Army of the West. He is operating in the Mississippi Valley region. He's also working around Tennessee and Kentucky. He's doing his thing out there. And Joseph Hooker has taken back over the Northern Army, who's trying to keep those Confederates from continuing to push north, because we don't want them in the North. That's not a good look for us. We are supposed to be better than them. And by the spring and summer of 1862, Under Ulysses S. Grant out in the Mississippi Valley, the Army of the West has been successful in gaining control of the Mississippi River, but we still have this problem with the North. But the good news is our stalemate has ended, because now we're not stuck anymore, but now the Union is rapidly losing ground and the Confederacy is pushing up. And lots of people are dying, and we're not that far into the war yet. It's only January of 1863. We still haven't hit some of our really big battles. So we go through a lot of generals in the Union very, very quickly. Again, we talked about this in the last video. The South has good generals. You can't argue good management, and they're doing it well. But just like we talked about with the enslaved population, people are not infinite. And no matter how many men the South has mobilized and enlisted, once those men die, you are going to run out of people to replace them. And that will become a problem later on. But before we get to the second half of the Civil War, we want to go visit mobilization. We're going to look at mobilization in the North and the South and see how we managed to get the country to support their sides for so long with so many awful things happening.